Political success is a civil rights failure. As we turn now to four guests here in New York for a discussion about charter schools and the controversial closing of 19 New York City public schools. Bill Perkins is on the phone with us. He's a New York State Senator representing Harlem. He's been one of the most vocal state lawmakers against lifting the cap on charter schools in New York. We're also joined by Seth Andrew, a superintendent and founder of the Democracy Prep Charter School in Harlem. Daniel Clark Sr. is the field director of Parent Power Now, an advocacy group for public school parents. His son is an 8th grader at the Democracy Prep Charter School in Harlem. Leonie Haimson is with us as well. She is executive director of Class Size Matters. She also edits the blog nycpublicschoolparents.blogspot.com. So why don't we begin with Bill Perkins, New York State Senator from Harlem. What are your concerns?
Good morning. Well, I think charter schools are a violation of civil rights in the sense that they are only being put in communities of color, only in those communities that are above the so-called 96th Street dividing line. They are schools in which they have not been accountable in terms of what success they are achieving. They're not been accountable in terms of making sure that all the students are being given in our public school system the same types of services. They are oversaturating communities like Harlem. They are closing down schools in communities like Harlem, placing them only with charter schools, forcing children out of these schools, not providing even the kids in the public schools with the same type of services that they're providing charters, especially when those charters are co-located with public schools. I founded the first charter school in New York City, the Sasulu Charter School, obviously trying to see if this experiment would have some opportunities that all of our children could benefit from, and it turned out quite the opposite. And so there's a serious movement on the part of the mayor and the powers that be in this city to force charter schools into communities. Even of color, even the mayor has said that charter schools are the private schools for communities of color. This, in my mind, is a statement of separate and unequal.
Well, Daniel Clark, you have children in charter schools. You are also a field director of Parent Power Now, which is attempting to build parental support for charter schools. Your reaction both to the report from UCLA and to Bill Perkins, Senator Bill Perkins' claims?
Well, I tell you, I think the Senate does have one strong point. But if I were in Bayside, if I lived in Bayside or Park Slope or even the East Side, I wouldn't be here. But I happen to live in Central Harlem, and they've been failing our kids for a long time. I did some research. I knew it was coming over, so I called an aunt of mine. Back in 1975, she struggled with 3 kids, single parent, to keep her son in St. Aloysius, which is a Catholic school. And the family asked her, well, why don't you just send him to public school? And she back then said, because I want him to have a future. The schools were failing then, that's 35 years ago, and they're failing now. And if the schools were doing better, if we were in Bayside or Park Slope or East Side or Upper West Side, there wouldn't be a need for charter schools. The schools are awful, the district schools. And parents who don't have money, unfortunately, I'm not doing as well as my aunt did, so I can't afford to send my son to St. Aloysius or Rice High School. I'm stuck with the district school, which in my case is about to be closed, and it should be. If it weren't for Democracy Prep where he goes now, if it wasn't for that option, that choice, God forbid, I don't know what would happen to my son. And so I'm organizing parents, and I'm fighting so that people like me, parents like me who aren't rich, can have a choice, and whose kids who they love can go to a school that's excellent, like Democracy Prep.
What about the issue that the UCLA study raises about the increasing segregation that's resulting from the charter school movement? Do you have concerns about that at all? Or?
Well, honestly, I know down the block is a district school, and it's 100% black and Spanish. I know Democracy Prep is 100% black and Spanish. For me, honestly, it's an escape from a terrible school. I guess I can't afford to get into those issues right now as a parent. My son is 13 now, and I want him in the school. Well, he'll have a future. And the school that we go to, for 81 seats, there were 1,542 people applying for just 81 seats. And those are people who live in my building. Those are people who live down the block. Those are people that I meet in supermarkets. And there's a reason. The reason twofold. One, the school is doing well academically. And second, I think even more importantly, tragically, is that the district schools aren't, and everybody in Harlem knows it. And Harlem is a metaphor for Brownsville, is a metaphor for Bedford-Stuyvesant, is a metaphor for South Bronx. Unfortunately, where their parents of color and kids of color, the schools are failing, district schools.
Leonie Haimson, what's your answer to this?
Well, I think one of the problems that we see here in New York City is that the charter schools, as the national studies show, enroll fewer numbers of English language learners, special education kids, and poor kids than the communities in which they sit. We're seeing a massive number of school closings. Some of these schools got A's in the administration's own accountability system in order to put charter schools in their place. Many times, kids sit in this building, one charter school, one regular public school. The charter school has smaller classes, more equipment, laptops, whiteboards. The regular public school kids walk by these classrooms every day and feel like that they're second-class citizens. I also have concerns about the fact that we're essentially privatizing huge chunks of our public school system. The people running these schools, not all of them, but many of these charter schools, are hedge fund managers or the children of hedge fund managers who are billionaires, who are essentially taking control of our public school system and undermining the strength of our neighborhood public schools. Very often the line for charter school advocates is that we're increasing choice for public school parents, but we're also decreasing the choice of public school parents to be able to send their kids to strong, stable neighborhood public schools.
Seth Andrew, you're obviously not a hedge fund manager, and you've been running one Democracy Prep now. What do you think is the advantage, and even your concerns about your fellow charter school leaders in terms of some of the legitimate criticisms that have been raised?
Well, first, thank you so much, Juan and Amy, for having us. This is a really important discussion because it's all about giving parents power. And I agree with Dr. Arfield on one thing, which is this is the civil rights issue of our generation. Public schools in zoned communities like Central Harlem, like ours, are failing on a massive scale. They're failing to educate students, and I think